Hello, everyone. Today we are going to work with a reading, and this reading is about a very famous character in music history. This man changed the world in his own way. So today we are talking about John Lennon, right? A man with a dream. On a warm, sunny day in June 1957, six young men stood in Rosebery Street, Liverpool, and began to play a song. The band was called the Quarrymen. They were not famous, and in 1957, they were not very good. The singer had brown eyes and brown hair, and his name was John Lennon. He sang song after song. The band played and people danced. Nobody in the street that day knew the singer's name, but he was a man with a dream. One day I'm gonna be famous, he often said. And he was right. The Quarrymen slowly became the Beatles. And 7 years later, they were the world's most famous band. Before he died, John Lennon wrote and sang some of the best songs of our time. But John Lennon was more than a singer and a songwriter. He talked about love and peace, and millions of young people listened to him. He wanted to change the world. And when a man called Mark Chapman killed him far from his Liverpool home, thousands of people stood and cried. So, how did John Lennon and his band become famous? Why did all people all around the world listen to him? And why did one man want to kill him? Liverpool boy. John Winston Lennon was born in a Liverpool hospital on 9th October 1940. Britain was at war, and John's father, Alf, worked on ships, so he was away most of the time. His mother, Julia, wanted to leave Alf, and when John was 5, they asked him a question. Did he want to live with his father or his mother? John did not know. He cried and went to his father at first, but when his mother walked away, he ran after her. He did not see Alf again for 19 years. Life was not easy for Julia. So when John was 7, he began to live with his mother's sister, his aunt Mimi, in Walton, Liverpool. Mimi loved John, and her husband, George, always had time for him. George read books to John at night, and John learned to read with him. They often walked around Woolton too. There was a big house called Strawberry Field near Mimi's house, and John liked to visit the gardens there. Years later, Strawberry Fields Forever became one of his most famous songs. John visited his mother Julia a lot. She had 2 daughters now, but she loved John very much. Julia had lots of photos of him in the house, and she often played a record called My Son John. Julia listened to the radio all the time too, so John heard the new music from the USA, rock and roll. Julia sang and played the banjo, and when John was about 8, he got his first harmonica. He soon learned to play it very well. Some of John's friends had pianos at home, so he learned to play the piano too. Then Julia taught him the banjo. Music was easy for John, and at first he was a good student at school too. But John could not see well, and he needed glasses. Children laughed at his glasses, so he stopped wearing them. Because of this, and because he was not very interested in schoolwork, he did not do well at high school. But at home, John did a lot of writing and beautiful art, and he read lots and lots of books. These were happy years for Jan. He liked to go to the cinema with his cousins Stanley Parks and Lila Harvey, but when Stanley's family moved to Scotland, George and Lila often went there for the summer. John played his harmonica for hours and hours on the long drive to Scotland from Liverpool. One summer, when John was away in Scotland, Mimi's husband George died. George was like a second father to John, but John never cried in front of Mimi. In 1850s, Liverpool boys did not cry. At this time, John was becoming more and more interested in music. In 1856, a young American rock and roll singer called Elvis Presley became very famous. He was an amazing dancer, and his music was new and exciting. Elvis had 7 songs in the UK music charts. That year, suddenly, young people like John wanted to sing Elvis, dress like him, and be in a band. So Julia took John into town and bought him a guitar. That summer, John began a skiffle band with 2 friends from school. They were called the Quarrymen because their school was called Quarry Bank. Skiffle was like American country music, but faster. Soon, there were 6 boys in John's band. They played songs by skiffle musicians like Lonnie Donegan. That Donegan. That autumn, the Quarrymen began to do little concerts like Saturday night dances. John was the singer and he played the guitar too. He always played very hard on his guitar strings, so he often broke them. It was John's last year of school, and he needed to work hard. Mimi was not happy about the band or about his pictures and writing. Sometimes she went into his room and took them. You are going to be sorry when I'm famous, he often told her.